The title is going down to the wire. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football, and it is official that the title will be decided on the final day. It's going to be a title decider, last day of the season. Unfortunately, we're not talking about the Premiership, we're not talking about Rangers and Celtic, we're talking about the Scottish Championship and the fact that Dundee weren't able to win on Friday night, which means they will have to get a result when they take on second place Queen's Park on Friday. So yeah, lots to talk about today. Before we get into league action though, I want to give a big shout out to Inverness Caledonian Thistle. They booked their place in the Scottish Cup final by defeating Falkirk 3-0 at Hampden. I predicted Inverness. I thought the game would have been a little bit closer than that. Unfortunately, didn't get to see it. It sounded like Falkirk just couldn't take their chances, and Inverness Caledonian Thistle have Billy Mackay up front, who obviously can take chances. But yeah, no, I think Inverness deserved the win. I haven't even seen the highlights yet, so I can't say too much. But you know what? Fair play to Inverness Caledonian Thistle for getting the victory and getting to the final. And I would love to see them win it. I would absolutely love to see them win it. Aside from the fact that it would possibly screw my team out of a guaranteed European group stage game, or 6 games even. You know, apart from that aside, how great would it be to see the underdog fairy tale of Inverness Caledonia, who were actually knocked out the Scottish Cup, by the way. Earlier in the season, they got knocked up. Didn't get knocked up, fuck me. No, they're not pregnant, don't worry. They got knocked out the Scottish Cup, but were allowed back in due to the team that beat them. It was at Ayr United, I think it might have been. They fielded an ineligible player. So, yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy that Inverness are back into a Scottish Cup final. But let's move to League 2 then, guys. A league that was already done and dusted. The only thing to decide in this league, well, there's some playoff spots left to play for, and of course, who's going to get relegated. Albion Rovers are favourites to get relegated, and they did not do themselves any favours today, losing by 2-1 away from home against East Fife. Annan and Bonnyrigg Rose played out a 0-0 draw, with Elgin beating Dumbarton. Stirling Albion beat Forfar Athletic, and Stranraer beat Stenhousemuir by 2-0. Spartans, by the way, beat Breaking City, which I believe is a playoff between the Highland Leagues and the Lowland League. So whoever wins that will take on whoever finishes last in League 2, which looks like it's going to be Albion Rovers at the moment, and you can tell Albion Rovers are last. Now, they have a better goal difference than Bonnyrigg Rose, so that will help them, but I believe they're taking on Stirling Albion in the last game, and that will not help them, because Stirling Albion, like I said, are the champions. They've won this league. They've been looking good. Now, Stirling will have nothing to play for. Albion will have everything to play for, but I don't know. I just don't really see Albion Rovers getting the 3 points they deserve, or not, maybe they don't deserve them, but the 3 points that they need. And I think Albion Rovers are going to go down. Albion Rovers, big club in terms of, you know, the lower leagues. And, yeah, no, it's mad that I think Albion Rovers will go down. But for a long time, apart from East Stirlingshire, they were the worst side in the Scottish Pyramid. They were, for years and years, they were like finishing 9th in League 2, and East Stirling were propping them up by being just shitter, basically, the name. So East Stirling didn't take them long to get relegated, and now I think Albion Rovers, about time, but I think eventually now they are going to see the same fate and get relegated to, I believe they'd go to the Lowland League. Surely they would go to the Lowland League because they're in Coatbridge, North Lanarkshire. I guess they'd need to reconstruct the league and someone would go from the Lowland to the Highland. I just don't think Albion Rovers will get put into the Highland League, but I mean, who knows, it's Scottish fit, but anything could happen. Moving on to League 1. Airdrie, who have been playing really good as of late, lost though to Queen of the South. Marvin Bartley, man, take a bow, son. What a job this guy has done. Honestly, man, guy has been amazing at Queen of the South, and if he had come in earlier based on his form, who's to say he would not have got them promoted? Who's to say he wouldn't have been competing for the title? He's been that good, honest to God. Marvin Bartley deserves a hell of a lot of credit for the job he's done at Queen of the South. Dunfermline beat Clyde by 2-1, which is what Peterhead needed, I think, because they're battling Clyde. But what Peterhead didn't need was to lose. Peterhead, to stay in League 1, needed to beat Kelty Hearts. They needed to win their last 2 games. They haven't done that, and that means Peterhead will be relegated from League One. So bye-bye Peterhead, and Montrose lost 4-0 to Alloa Athletic, which means the league table looks like this. Pretty much dead. So you have dead. Peterhead are going down, and Clyde could go down. To be fair, I don't know, are Clyde worse than the teams in League 2? I'm not too sure. I think Clyde, I don't know, I mean, look at them though, they've been terrible, but they've been terrible against League 1 opposition. Over, a one-off game against a League 2 side. I personally think Clyde will still go down though, but I mean, it could go either way. If they're any team from League 2 though, the teams are in the playoffs, I think I'd give Dumbarton a good chance of beating Clyde over 2 legs. So yeah, we'll see. Clyde though avoid the automatic relegation spot, and now they have to win a playoff to keep their League 1, career alive, status alive. Queen of the South then, like I said, were close to getting into the top 4, but they're just going to run out of games. FC Edinburgh staying in the division, Kelty Heart staying in the division. In terms of the playoff spots, nothing to play for really. I mean, apart from a few quid, there's zero difference between finishing 3rd and 4th. So, the same for 5th and 6th. 3rd and 4th both get you the playoffs, and you both play each other in the first round of the playoffs. So, there's absolutely nothing to gain. Like I said, apart from maybe a small amount of prize money. So this league's over. League 1's done. There's nothing really to look at here in League 1. League 1 is completed. Now moving on to the Championship, there was only 3 games on today. Now, of course, we did have Dundee drawing with Cove Rangers 0-0 on Friday, and that could prove to be an absolute abysmal result for Dundee if they do, in fact, lose to Queen's Park in the final game. But yeah, Queen's Park had an opportunity to win the day, go back to the top of the table, and that would have meant going into the final game at home against Dundee. They would have only needed a draw to win the Championship. However, they're going to have to do things the hard way, because they lost to Dougie Imrie's Greenock Morton by 2 goals to 0. Also, there was wins for Ayr and wins for Partick Thistle. So the teams that were pushing for the playoffs all won the day, 3 home wins. And I think you could have seen that coming. I'm not too sure. I thought Queen's Park would maybe get a draw against Greenock Morton, but I'm pretty sure now Queen's Park in their last 6 games have only scored 2 goals, and they've only won 1 game in their last 6. That's not good enough for a team that is pushing for the title. Queen's Park should have had this wrapped up, but they've blown it. However, they're also a little bit lucky. They're lucky that Dundee haven't been in that good a form either, because if Dundee were hitting Championship winning form, Dundee would have won it by now already, but Dundee have been slipping up too. So again, that does leave things wide open. And as we look at the league table, Dundee are top on 60 points, but Queen's Park 2 points behind will have a chance to overtake them, but they need a win. The thing about this is the Scottish Championship going into the last round of fixtures, this is a crazy stat. It's unbelievable. I had to double check this to make sure it's actually right. 9 teams in this league do not know where they will be next season. The only team that knows they will be playing League 1 football next year is Raith Rovers. There's still 3 teams that can get relegated, and there's 6 teams that can get promoted. That's insane. For it to go down to the final day and 9 out of the 10 teams are still either playing for promotion or playing for relegation, it's incredible, but it's also good. It's a good championship in my opinion. It makes things close. I mean, maybe standard quality-wise, it's not been brilliant, but the fact that it's so tight, the fact there's still stuff to play for, and let's be honest, there's no closer league than this. 30 points separates the top team, from the bottom team. No other league is anywhere near that close. So, I mean, that is absolutely insane. And so it's going to go into the final day. So, Partick Thistle have 56 points. Ayr United have 55 points. Inverness, Caledonian, Thistle have 55 points. And Greenock Morton have 54 points. But if you look at the form, it is clear to see that the teams from 3rd to 6th, the teams that are trying to get into the playoff spots, they're the form teams. They're the teams that have been picking up results. I know Ayr United have only got 1 win in that period, but they've only got 1 defeat as well. Maybe a bit too many draws, but they are the form teams in this league. So, yeah, this is going to be insane. It's going to be massive to see which 2 of these 4 teams will end up getting in to the playoff spots. Now, let's just have a quick check here at the fixtures. So next Friday, is where it all goes down. We have Arbroath versus Hamilton, which if you check, that doesn't really do much. I mean, Hamilton can't overtake Arbroath. So, Arbroath doesn't... obviously, if Arbroath win, it helps them, but Arbroath can't go down automatically. Arbroath can lose to Hamilton and still stay up. That's not important. Now, obviously, if Arbroath win, or even if they get a draw, they're guaranteeing that they finish 8th. But for Arbroath, the main thing for them is that Cove Rangers do not win. That is what will keep Arbroath safe. So, I mean, Arbroath can lose to Hamilton. It's not going to change anything unless Cove Rangers win. Hamilton can obviously overtake Cove, but they can't overtake Arbroath, who they're playing. So, it's very, very tight. But Hamilton then, I guess, will have it in their own hands. If they beat Arbroath, then they know they're safe. Cove Rangers need a win to guarantee safety, and they're taking on Greenock Morton, who are obviously pushing for promotion. Greenock Morton, out of the promotion teams, you'd argue have a favourable tie here because they're taking on a team that's in a relegation battle. But again, every team's got something to play for, so you never know. Inverness Caledonian Thistle versus Ayr United. This is pretty much a shootout for the playoffs. You've got Ayr in 4th, Inverness 5th. Now, I mean, of course, if these two teams draw and Greenock win, then Greenock would overtake them both and knock Ayr out of the playoffs and prevent Inverness from getting into the playoffs. But if Inverness win or if Ayr United win, they guarantee a playoff spot regardless of what Greenock Morton do. So Ayr United versus Inverness is basically a shootout. Whoever wins that game guarantees themselves a spot, minimum 4th place in the league and a spot in the playoffs. So that game's going to be absolutely huge. I believe even if they draw, so a draw doesn't favour Inverness need to win basically. Ayr United, a draw might do them as long as Greenock Morton don't win, but Greenock Morton are playing Cove Rangers, so Ayr will probably go into that game thinking that they will need to win as well. Because even if Ayr draw and it takes them level with Partick Thistle, Partick would need to lose by 3 goals or more for Ayr to overtake them with a point. So that looks unlikely. We've got Queen's Park versus Dundee. Obviously, we know that about that, man. That is a title shootout. I cannot wait for that one. I actually wouldn't mind going to that game. I imagine it'll be hard to get tickets, or maybe not. I don't know. The Queen's Park sell at their stadium. I'll probably try and get a stream online to watch that. Hopefully there is a stream. Hopefully BBC. Can we try and get that game on BBC or even Alba or something? You know, we need to see that game. That's a massive game. And then Raith Rovers play Partick Thistle. In my opinion, Partick Thistle have the best chance of getting into the playoffs. Obviously, A, because they're in 3rd place. They're already there. They're the highest team that are battling for those spots. And B, they're playing Raith Rovers, the only team with nothing to play for. So when you look at it like that, guys, when you do the numbers, it looks good for Partick Thistle to get in there. My predictions, I'm going to go with Partick Thistle, and I'm going to go with Inverness Caledonian Thistle. They just made the Scottish Cup final. They're on really good form. Ayr United is form not as good. I've got a feeling Inverness Caledonian Thistle will get the win. But honestly, you can't count out Greenock Morton either, because they know if they beat Cove Rangers, then a draw between Inverness and Caledonian Thistle will be enough to get them in to the top spot. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to look at here. The relegation battle, the playoff battle, and obviously the battle for the title, guys. It's going to be epic. What a Friday night of Scottish Championship action we're going to be treated to. We will be back to do a preview, and obviously if we can get to watch some games, there'll be match reviews in there as well. But we will crown champions, we will finalise the playoff spots, and we will unfortunately say bye-bye to one of 3 teams. Unlikely to be Arbroath unless a miracle happens. But yeah, it looks like Cove Rangers or Hamilton will say bye-bye to their championship status come Friday night. That's it, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Fog Football. Till next time. Peace.